Welcome to the EPG Pathshala, and I'm Dr. Swati Banerjee, Associate Professor at the School of Social Work at Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. And today I'll be talking to you on feminism of color, which is part of the paper on gender and social work. Some of the topics that we'll try to discuss today would be trying to understand what is this concept of feminism of color and how does it weave in, or how does it come about with respect to some of the other feminist theories that are there. Some of the other theories from which feminism of color also draws, which includes Black feminism and intersectionality, and how does the ideas of Black feminism and intersectionality influences the idea of feminism of color. We'll also try and look at some of the conceptual challenges and conclude the understanding of feminism of color through looking at some of the basic tenets and what is a proposed way forward. To begin with, we'll try to deconstruct or unpack the idea of feminism of color or the theory of feminism of color. This is a feminist theoretical proposition which essentially challenges the idea or the key notion of female essentialism. The whole essentialist idea of certain characteristics associated with women, certain characteristics associated with men. But here feminism of color is not only talking about the essentialism in terms of characteristics of men and women, but it's also trying to talk about the essentialism and also the homogenization of women, and how do we need to challenge that idea. It rejects the idea of all women possessing a set of inherent attributes of femaleness. It resists the idea of female chauvinism, that is, the right of some women to speak and represent all women. Essentially, or implicit to this understanding is also about elitism that exists in mainstream feminist thoughts. It rejects the belief that all women are somehow similar in their experiences of oppression, and therefore essentially tries to talk about how women from different contexts or marginalized women has been neglected in mainstream feminist thought. It also highlights the idea that women cannot be viewed in isolation, subtracted from their socio-cultural political context, which are the other different axes of oppression, like race, like it could be gender, it could be caste, it could be many of those other identities. And therefore, it talks about coming out from a single axis analytical frameworks of oppression to a multiple axis framework. In trying to understand this multiple axis framework, the construct given by feminists of color is about interlocking systems of oppression. It talks about how different systems of oppression or different identities, which could be the racial identity, sexuality, could be nationality, gender, etc., how this intersects, and this interlocking systems of oppression fosters a paradigm shift of thinking inclusively about different oppressions. For example, like we have just said, age, sexual orientation, religion, ethnicity, etc. Essentially, the interlocking system of oppression is not just about 1 plus 2 plus 3 or just about intersections. It's also talking about the philosophy of inclusion. To give you a background and how feminism of color has emerged from different feminist thought over a period of time, how do we understand and see this trajectory, and at what point feminism of color has made an entry into the feminist discourse. As we know, during the 1960s, 70s, the focus of the feminist movement has been on gender differences largely between men and women, or largely between heterosexual men and women. The radical cultural feminism had attempted to essentialize characters as masculine or feminine, and the debates on the superiority of one over the other. Simultaneously, the sameness feminist or the sameness feminism had spoken about sexism as the main enemy, and women had the same capacities like intellectual, physical, and moral as that of men. Women would be completely equal to men if given the same opportunities. The difference feminism spoke about androcentrism as the main enemy and spoke about women being oppressed because they are not like men. Thus, as we see, the early feminist thought, the way it emerged, was restricted largely to mainstream ideas, or as we say, white heterosexual ideas of feminism and feminist thought. By 1980s, the focus shifted to women from different marginalized groups, and feminism of color kind of locates its understanding of interlocking discrimination within this understanding of the oppression faced by different women in different and varied marginalized communities. Gender is neither, they say, gender is neither the only nor the main source of women's oppression. And the belief that gender-focused feminism of the 1960s and 1970s represent only the issues of certain group of elite women, like we have said, white, heterosexual, middle-class, educated women. And they kind of rejects this idea and feels that we need to be more inclusive of other women's experiences. They also say a large section of women who belong to other sociocultural contexts was ignored in mainstream feminism, and therefore there was a need to look at an alternate feminism like feminism of color. This interesting idea of inessential woman, where problems of exclusion in feminist thought was given by Elizabeth, the possibility of oppression has been ignored and denied by the mainstream feminist, and thus it created a concern of exclusion of most women, most marginalized women in feminist thought. Feminism of color largely derives its understanding from two other alternate thoughts, which is Black feminism and intersectionality. As some of you would have looked through all the modules in this course on gender and social work, where we also separately discuss the idea of intersectionality. So we'll briefly introduce you to these two ideas and see how it influences the discourse of feminism of color, Black feminism. The Black feminist critique says the mainstream feminist thoughts is a whitewashed feminist movement. Again, it's talking about the white, heterosexual, urban, educated, middle-class woman being part of the feminist movement and other women being excluded from the same. Black, third world, working class and queer women ignored from the ambit. Black feminist politics therefore draws heavily from movements of Black liberation. Disillusion within these movements and within the liberal left movements push towards forming a politics evolving out of personal experiences of Black women that is both anti-racist and anti-sexist. A lot of feminists like Bell Hooks, Patricia Collins, and many other feminists were some of the first US feminists to probe into the complexity or the complex identity of women of color and other minority women, discussing their multiple jeopardy. So they say it's not just one kind of oppression, but how many axes interlock to create multiple processes of marginalization in women's life. The Black feminists say that as Blacks, women suffer all the burdens of prejudice and mainstream that fall on anyone with dark skin. As women, they bear the additional burden of having to cope with both white and black men. Some of these entrenched ideas are part of our society. We see how this kind of prejudice against dark skin leads to different kinds of mistreatments against men and women of color, and women experience certain kinds of oppression. Bell Hooks, another black feminist, she talks of racism, classism, and sexism are not inseparable from each other. None of these axes of oppression can be eliminated without eliminating the others. Warning to black women to resist the negative sexual stereotypes of their bodies. She says we should not just accept what others say and should be able to come out of the stereotypes, because she believes a lot of time when there is negative reinforcement that you are not beautiful, that your body is not okay, we tend to internalize some of these thought processes, and she says we need to be very, very conscious to be able to resist these negative stereotypes. She also talks about portrayal of black women as sexually promiscuous has caused them to react either as sexual prudes or as capitalizing on this supposed sexiness. Need to stop internalizing the oppressor's perception about them. And this is a very, very clear message from black feminists, and therefore this message is also inherent in the idea of feminism of color. Another early feminist who has come out from the mainstream ideas and has integrated into alternate ideas and especially into the concerns of marginalized women is Patricia Collins. She gives several thoughts to analyze this, and she says black women's oppression are structured within three interdependent dimensions of economic, political, and ideological, and we need to understand these three axes. The economic dimension restricts black women to service occupations or to only certain kinds of occupations. The political dimension denies them the rights that are enjoyed by white men and many white women. Ideological. She says the ideological dimension leads to specific portrayal of black women that justifies certain discriminatory treatment. If we see a parallel of this in India, we would see that a lot of the discriminatory treatments are justified vis-a-vis Dalit and tribal women here. The ideological dimension is more powerful in maintaining black women's oppression. Race, class, and gender cannot continue without a strong ideological justification, is what they say, and therefore need for black women and other marginalized women is to release themselves from these demeaning stereotypes to overturn some of these hierarchies and oppression. The other feminist thought or the other idea which has influenced the feminist discourse of color or feminism of color is intersectionality, and I would briefly outline the key tenets in that. As a theoretical approach, it dates back to the second wave feminism in the 1970s. And it talks of not only double jeopardy, it talks about triple jeopardy. This is used by third world women to refer to three interlocking systems of oppression, namely sexism, racism, and capitalism or imperialism, because they say in today's world you cannot deny the infiltration of capitalism and its impact on women's lives. In India today, the mainstream notion of feminism is largely still confined to upper caste, upper class, and draws heavily from white feminism. And therefore, there's also a need for an alternate idea. The term intersectionality has been adopted by Dalit feminists to articulate their lived reality where they constantly have to battle against sexism and casteism. The idea of intersectionality represents the intersections of multiple identities of gender, race, class, caste, etc., and how they interlock with each other. Based on the premise that people live in multiple layered identities derived from their social relations, history, and operations of structures of power, and they say people may experience oppression and privilege simultaneously. For example, I might be privileged in a certain space, but I might be not enjoying certain kinds of freedom in another space. Recognizes structural modes of oppression such as racism, patriarchy, class, caste, etc., as we have discussed earlier. Also acknowledges unique individual experiences resulting from these intersections of multiple identities, which a lot of times is often ignored. Non-additive oppression, mutually reinforcing and producing distinctive experiences. One form of oppression is not worse than the other, it's just different, as Collins describes. Now, how do we look at these two key thoughts which influences feminism of color, Black feminism, and intersectionality? Some of the common understandings within this. Intersectionality, as we have discussed, can be seen as multidimensionality of marginalized subjects' lived experiences and challenges the notion of all women occupying the same position in patriarchal order. It talks about the need to capture the diversity, looks at the multiple axes of differences that intersects, and the term intersectionality as coined by Crenshaw, it dates back to a much earlier period than though it's being used today, but the idea kind of dates back. Here, when I'm talking about Black feminism and intersectionality and how this influences feminism of color, there's a very interesting speech by Sojourner Truth in 1851 called Anti a Woman. And I think this is a very interesting speech, and without which we will not be able to understand the essence of feminism of color, which kind of talks about feminism is not only about white men or white women. We need to talk about the diversities. It says that Sojourner Truth in her speech says that man over there say, a woman needs to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helped me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me a best place, and aren't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no harm could head me. And aren't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get to it, and bear the lash as well. And aren't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold into slavery. And when I cried out a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And aren't I a woman? That little black man in black there say, a woman can't have as much rights as a man, 'cause Christ wasn't a man. Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman? Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever met was strong enough to turn the world upside down, all alone, together, women ought to be able to turn it right side up again. That's a radical speech by a black woman, which highlights how the term woman often refers to only white women and ignores the lived experiences of black women, which needs to be highlighted. And that's the essence of feminism of color, and that's how it has evolved. The genesis of black feminism, therefore, lies in the oppressive relationship that existed between black women and white male-ruled America. That's the historical background. Black women frequently face exclusion from both the feminist and the anti-racist movement. The intersectional experience is more than the sum total of racism and sexism. Feminist theory actively excluded black women by attempting to speak for all women. Again, here the emphasis is also about women chauvinism. Some women cannot represent all women. Different women need to have their voices in the feminist movement. Feminist theory evolved, they say, from a white racial context, and race privileges white feminists over others. Though normalizing the lives of white women while ignoring the lived realities of women from any other race, this term has come to universally represent all women, as Patricia Collins puts it. Intersecting systems of oppression that black women have faced through history has been referred to as the matrix of domination. And again, to emphasize the idea, feminism of color rejects an additive model of oppression and a single axis model simultaneously, and talks about the multiple marginalities. Interlocking and simultaneous systems of oppression that are mutually constitutive, that constantly interact with each other to place individuals as the oppressor, oppressed, or both depending on the context. However, certain axes of oppression might have affected certain groups more than other forms of identity. So it's also important to understand the different axes of identities which creates this multiple oppression, because it could impact differently and it could impact at different points in time differently. I would like to conclude with some of the conceptual challenges that has emerged within the idea or from the idea of feminism of color. Other black feminists' issues of marginalization within the movement were also voiced by feminists in Latin America, in the Native American feminist context, and some of it have perhaps not been included within this. A lot of critique also of intersectionality, black feminism, and feminism of color has been that the key reference point has been white women for feminism of color. Certain feminists urged African American women and other women of color to define themselves as self and the white woman as the other. So a critique of this kind of feminism has been that it might create differences amongst women and create the us and other, and create a othering. Race, they say, the critics say, is also mediated by language, nationality, and culture, meaning that what constitutes as black in the United States might not be considered the same in other cultures or other countries. Race is not a standalone concept, but needs to be seen in the context of other axes of oppression and identities. Therefore, to kind of sum up some of the key discussion points that we had, feminism of color is largely derived from two other feminist thought, which is intersectional feminism and black feminism. And feminism of color essentially rejects the single axis framework and talks about multiple marginalities, The focus is on marginalized women, though the initial understanding has started from trying to understand the context of Black feminists. And it proposes that we need to understand these multiple dimensions to be able to make a dent to change women's lives. To go deeper into this context, I would suggest that you look at the references, and especially you can look at, for example, Patricia Collins' Black Feminist Thought, which talks about knowledge, consciousness, and the entire politics of empowerment. Another important book would be to look at Crenshaw, which is about mapping the margins, and she talks about intersectionality and also about violence against women of color. Another interesting book, again by Crenshaw, is Demarginalizing the Intersection of Race and Sex, a Black feminist critique of anti-discrimination doctrine, feminist theory, and anti-racist politics. And there are many other books on the same. This should give us a little more in-depth understanding into this politics of women of color and feminism of color. I would like to end with this reference to Sojourner Truth's speech, which we have discussed, and this is a reference to that, which says, Sojourner Truth asked, "And aren't I a woman? I'm happy to be able to shout from rooftops, yes, I am a woman. Yes, I am. Celebrate womanhood, celebrate diversity." Thank you so much.